You were there with me, even when I was alone. And though we don't touch anymore, I can still feel it. Running back and forth, everything bound to everything else. When we are tied together, but we're tied together. And we are tied together. A woven machine so elegant, so complex. I don't fully understand it. Can't fully understand it. Is it love? I don't know. What binds you to me, to her, to him, to her, him, or they, or she. But I can see it. And feel it.
We're live.
We're live.
We did it. We made it.
You guys got to see the
Yes.
the first minute 24 of the short film we shot in quarantine.
In quarantine.
And
That's right.
yeah, if you guys don't know us, I'm Viktorija, Razevska, and this is Benjamin Gaskell.
Let me do it again.
And
that button. Boom.
Yeah, cool.
I feel so profesh.
Yeah, I know. It feels like we're the talent and trying to be the team behind.
Not embarrassing yourself while trying to make it look professional. And drinking a LaCroix at the same time.
Yeah. Well, hope you all are well. We're here with awesome Digital Sputnik. We were lucky enough to get to use the Voyagers and the pixel mapping technology to shoot our short film in quarantine.
Yep, together. We're in quarantine together. For those of you who are like, why aren't you wearing masks?
Valid.
You don't need to.
Yeah, so we're going to kind of go over the entire process of it. While we were going through it, we did live stream every day through Instagram with Digital Sputnik. But right now, as you can kind of tell, we're in a fine cut stage. It's temp color, temp sound. So there's definitely still work to be done, but that first minute and a half is about the first quarter of the film. It's probably going to be a 5-6 minute long film. And
she was up till 3 a.m. last night editing.
You're not supposed to tell everyone.
No, I mean, you're dedicated to, like, you know, refining and making all the things. It's like, you know, on the day of when we were filming this episode for our art film series, Viktorija was like tied up.
You'll get to see
literally,
some funny
yeah,
BTS.
we have a whole bunch of BTS, and I'm like running around with the camera, climbing ladders and doing all the things and like dying, and then it goes into post, and then it's like now sort of the same thing is happening for you in like the edit stage where, you know, I sit here and futz with this streaming technology. It's very boring. Anyway, point being, she's crushing it, and hopefully everyone liked the fine cut. Fine cut? You think it's fine cut?
I would say it. Well, it can't. It's probably like a rough cut. It's like decent enough right now.
Yeah, it looks good. I'm happy with how it's coming together.
Yeah. If you guys haven't been following it all, which is no problem because I know we're on YouTube now. I'm a director and editor out here in Los Angeles, and we have been working on a art film series called A Study in Discovery.
Oh, yeah, then click to the slide.
Of this film is lot of them go. But then also the idea in the film is that you eventually pick and choose which ones you take with you, and then get rid of the ones that are not helpful to you.
Right. The strings is what you're talking about.
Yeah, the strings in the film, if you kind of saw that first beginning part.
With the opening of you can scroll back in the stream if you want to.
Yeah.
Check it out. I feel like there's some housekeeping stuff that we need to do, and then also we should like introduce ourselves, like for those who didn't follow the Instagram live stream as well. But yeah, I think the main thing that I keep forgetting to do is this bar that I just clicked and made about 5 minutes ago, or I guess 15 minutes ago. Is outlining, so that way if anyone's joining halfway through or something, what we're going to be talking about in Weatherman fashion. So Viktorija was just talking about original concepts. So if I push
Following?
this button, that's what you just talked about.
I can just go like this.
Yeah, and then soon we will talk about pre-production. It's working.
We're figuring it out,
I'm
guys.
very easily entertained. Anyway, so let me click this button just to make it really confusing for people watching 6 months from now. So we got the bar, and the thing about, so you did talk about how you're a director and editor, but I think, maybe just like a quick 1 minute snapshot for everyone, just like understand who is Viktorija Razevska.
You're such a great
and, like,
interviewer.
Wow.
Yeah. Actually, I was going to say you should start. I've been doing a lot of talking.
Okay, yeah, I'll go. My name is Benjamin Gaskell. I'm a freelance cinematographer / DP / guy stuck in quarantine in LA right now.
Many of us are.
Doing a lot of Costco, yeah. Anyway, that's aside from my career. I've shot a lot of films, cut my teeth doing a lot of documentaries, feature docs, all that. Music videos is something that, I like doing. I like music videos, especially when they're good. When they're good, they're good. But yeah, and then I work on, we did a feature doc last year. Mm-hmm. Technically this year is when it came out. Yeah. I don't know. Doing the festival thing. And then I've done a handful of narratives and stuff like that. Right now I'm kind of moving more and more into narratives in the commercial space, and then I own a bunch of camera gear and Red camera, blah 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 blah, all the things. So but basically I've been focusing on being a professional cinematographer for 11 years now.
A baby.
Yeah, by DP standards, it's an old person's game.
Very cool.
Yeah, and you tell us about yourself.
Oh, well, thanks. And in general, I've been working with Ben off and on for almost 5 years now. I came out to Los Angeles. I've really focused. It was really important for me to focus on the entirety of the idea of filmmaking. So I've worked as a producer primarily for a lot of my film career, being out here for about 7-8 years. And very proud. I've done 2 features, produced myself almost 50 short films, and probably been on about an additional 50 films. Those are funded too,
not like, let's make a short film, but like, here's a budget, you better do
like
it,
a
right?
runny nose.
That's fine.
Yeah. So I'm very lucky, and just really enjoying my segue into directing and editing.
Oh, I thought you were going to say segue into the next. Into pre-production. Sorry.
Yeah, but we probably might as well just go there now.
I know, yeah. But basically, I think it's good context for everyone, because coming into this art film series, I think it's the desire. Well, actually, when you first approached me with it, it was like, I want to, kind of create a space that we can experiment with, because usually when you're on set, especially if it's a funded project, it's like there's a lot of demand and pressure for
It's
knowing
very
exactly.
difficult to experiment.
Yeah.
Because why would you when you?
I mean, all filmmaking is theory and experiment in a way, but like in this sort of like free form, like, hey, like what speaks to you right now in the moment, type thing. And so this art film series, A Study in Discovery, I think is kind of that, like creating a canvas by which that we get to like exchange and collaborate. I own enough camera gear so we're not really paying out for rentals, and we're able to just kind of play and try to create something that speaks to us, that does stand upon a foundation of a creative concept, but then we get to kind of tear it apart and riff with it. And
Well, it actually is a nice segue into pre-production.
Yeah, okay, I will click it. Boom.
Because as you stated, and I'll elaborate more on that, that I really wanted to have a space where when I'm in my creative ability to be in that space, that you as the DP, which is oftentimes also it is like the head of the tech of all the stuff that's happening, the merging between the tech and the creative. And it's really important that's the reason why I reached out to you is to have an artistic space where we get to collaborate. You can test things, but also it's really important to stay away from just him being into tech stuff and me over here. And so it's been really, really beneficial getting to work with the Voyagers, with Digital Sputnik. Because that's like a really important part that I think a lot of people don't really think about, is how efficient your gear is and how much you spend the time with your gear versus spending time in the creative concept land and like trying to nail that, which is like really the important part.
Too, I know we're going to talk about this more when we start to get into talking with the pre-rigging and all that, but the Voyager technology, along with a lot of the new stuff coming out for filmmaking, it's like it creates efficiencies and allows you to kind of do more with less. But still, it was super difficult making a film on our own in quarantine. The last episode that we shot, which is on YouTube and everything, we had, I think, with the Digital Sputnik team, 6 people total on set, but it was like grip / PA, first AC, and then the lighting team that was like helping us, and then you doing the directing thing, and it was like just enough. It's thin, like really thin. And granted, like
that was still difficult, as you know, film sets.
Yeah, but that's kind of the thing where it's like. This isn't all a replacement for it or a reason why. It's like, oh, we can make a short film with only 2 people. Absolutely. It's like, well, no, like, do you want to work within limitations to try and create something that
which is something you can tell. Like,
I think so.
We've had to accept limitations, accept our location, accept what we have.
We're not like, this is a $60 million Michael Bay thing. Like, this is like, no, this is us in our apartment trying to sort of create something meaningful to ourselves, I would say. So anyway, it's kind of like a nice little disclaimer. Should we jump into
we have
buttons? Let's push more buttons. If I click. Right there. There. Our sound is going.
Has our sound not been going this whole time?
No, I think it was when I clicked over to the slide temporarily.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know. All these things, you have to have the I button on. Anyway, so now we're going to shift over to talking about pre-production. We will be doing Q&A as well, and talking about everything. answering all of your questions, but which slide should we go to? What is our... Yeah, let's do that. Let's talk about the process, our typical process for pre-production.
Yeah, so a typical process, if you guys are used to working in narrative film, also works for documentary, but I think we stereotypically work with a lot of the idea that you narrow down the concept to the best of your abilities, work on finding the big things like location, you know, who's going to be managing which part of main area, camera, art, things like that. Definitely that's, you know, your typical process. If you work on maybe like more, you know, maybe reality TV or other things like that, it's still pretty similar, pretty involved process. Oftentimes taking, I think, usually for at least like a 15-minute short film would take me at least a month to properly have a good, solid pre-production. But
Yeah,
for something
totally.
like this, it's really interesting being a professional, trying to kind of do the same type of pre-production that you might have. Ben just pulled out
That storyboard.
also.
Oh,
It's
come on,
really
it's great.
rough.
Story.
This is one of my
Yeah.
storyboards.
Totally. Here, wait. You should hold it up, and I'll like click to.
Yeah, I'm not sure this is.
But it's fantastic.
Well, in general, you should make storyboards, no matter how not great they are.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just cutting to random BTS footage
Here's some BTS we
Here,
have
yeah.
of the shoot.
and all the things. Look at that. Isn't that cool?
Yeah,
But yeah, so sorry, I'll go and then the storyboard if you wanna.
yeah. Well,
But this was like the back of the napkin drawing that was. Yeah.
behind
that-
the concept of
yeah.
what we were saying is like, okay, this.
Starting from the emotional, the sort of just intellectual concept of it all, and then we were talking about like, oh wow, with you know our high ceilings and all this, and I knew that I had a bunch of rope in a milk crate left over from a bunch of different shoots, and it was like, yeah, we could start playing with. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like we have some parts that are easy in the sense that it's in the apartment. I only have me to do makeup and art and things like that, so that's not as complicated.
You don't want me to do your makeup?
Yeah,
I could
I'm
try.
glad. Well, you'll see from the makeup. Just
Oh,
kidding.
yeah, we did, yeah. Yeah,
We'll
which
get
we're
into
working
kind
towards,
of
yeah.
the point of, especially as shooting a short film in quarantine, is to really control, of course, the things you can control, and then to try to not over control what you can't.
Right.
So that kind of led us into the idea of, well, of course we would do shooting tests, you know, and we would test all of these things out, which is kind of like
But I think
hard in terms of
but
you're
in terms
managing
of
many different things. But go ahead.
pre-production, it's like, you know, you had come up. It was like one thought, and then I responded with this thought of like the rope thing, and you're like, oh, that's really interesting because like this connects in this way, and then all of a sudden we're sort of just kind of hashing out this thing that's like built upon what logistically I know I have at hand, and then you know Victoria's like scribbled this out. I like that it's embroidered too. Whatever.
With my name is
But
Victoria. But I think
and
what
then
you're
it was
saying.
like it's like yeah, that's kind of what's in my brain, you know, in this rough state.
Well, and then you try to imagine what it will be like. What
Yeah.
will feel like? I think we'll get into more of it, but we did a decent job anticipating what our production problems would be that every shoot has.
Yeah.
I already knew at the beginning. It's like once we have your first your A position, all your ropes are rigged up. Conceivably, Ben can't get through with the camera, so we are limited to certain types of shots at the beginning until the ropes start
And that was
getting
something
cut.
early on in pre-production when we were still we did the shot listing. You know, it's like the storyboard sort of just gives an idea of how things are going to come together. But then when we climbed into doing the shot listing and sort of thinking about like what is the visual language of the piece, and so from like the early conceptual phase, Victoria and I spent a lot of time talking about like ultimately what sort of footage you want to have on your timeline to work with, and kind of stepping into that, like just the visual language space, like what do the shots feel like, and that those things connect in a way to some of the existing groundwork that we did for the aesthetics of our art film series. You know?
And it was really important to, like you said, assess what we have, and then which detailed more to the creative with like, oh, here's our concept, here's what the Voyagers, which was really rad to be able to bolster that concept and actually make, it's a pretty, I would almost say a character in and of itself, the Voyagers and the lighting sequence that Ben put into it, which in addition to that concept, the idea of a sunrise today to a sunset to a nighttime scene where there might be like a bar or a sketchy alleyway, green neon light, that's continuously happening, at first on a 36-second loop and then a 15-second loop, to kind of simulate the idea that days are rolling by, that this is not just something which bolsters a concept of, this is not something that you can just do in one day. So it was really great to have it fold in all the way.
I can go over to that one slide, which is actually a video clip somewhere. If I click, there's so many things to click. Yes, this one. Here's a little video I shot on my iPhone of, it's playing out of Keynote, by the way, so if it looks a little stuttery, that's just because it's just Keynote. But you can see, yeah, you can kind of see it. Little time lapse there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which it wasn't stuttery, but.
Yeah. I feel like maybe I should do, I'm sorry, this is my first time trying to run, it's like 7 apps are running right now with like controlling Voyagers and live streaming and all these things. So maybe if I click to the intro and then turn down the audio. Boom. Okay, there. So now you can hear our voices. And yeah. But yeah, so you can kind of see, let me take off that lower third. Boom. Yeah, some of the light that's moving in the background, and obviously this is in a cut, right? So it's, see, here you go, you can kind of see.
Yeah, I made specific choices when I wanted to match continuity or when I wanted it to feel like time has passed that we didn't see.
Yeah. Which
was really helpful, in my opinion, in the storytelling.
So there's that green light. And I should mention too, like this is the LUT that,
maybe you want to turn down the, I know that I'm, oh, not in this one. Never mind, sorry. In the other one, I'm speaking in it, so we might want to turn down.
Yeah, let me just, yep, we are good. No other sound.
Cool.
Man, there's so many things to pay attention to, live streaming. Oof. But yeah, so you can see animation playing in the back there. And whoops, what else we got? Here's a bunch of BTS clips. Oh, general BTS video. Yeah, this is actually a good one here. So this is the Voyager. I have a lighting diagram that we'll be talking about here pretty soon, which I'll put that up so people know. But yeah, it's kind of the concept that you were saying of like days passing by, and then I was like literally sitting there drinking a beer after we had spent probably 4 or 5 hours talking about this short film and sort of understanding the themes of it. And then I knew aesthetically the position that I wanted to be in was to create window light with the Voyagers, because it's such it's a nice thing to do when you can have a lot of back depth. Because our apartment is just this long shoebox kind of situation. So, shooting into the backlight. So I stuck some Voyagers in the window, and then just started messing around with the After Effects, streaming out, basically in real time, pixel mapping to the 4-foot Voyagers. and just kind of playing with some looks, and then pretty quickly I realized like, oh man, I could do a real time. It's like it is live action in real time, but appears to be like a time lapse. And so when we started messing around with that, and then like Viktorija's just right here, you know. So it's like, what would it be cool if I did this kind of thing? And I think, you know, it like took me probably an hour to knock together inside of After Effects. Yeah, but then you can see it here, like on the left side of the frame,
where you can see all the different Voyagers getting what when.
Yeah,
you know.
And then we added the accent light, the tungsten, which that needed to be controlled. We tried a bunch of different methods, but in the end, I just had an old dimmer pack that was DMX, and so I had to sync together the pixel mapping playback with the DMX single channel, nothing special.
But that being like I mean,
Yeah,
it's kind of annoying
art
because
thing.
it was an art thing,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
being a light. But
Yeah.
it was, you know, ultimately, I once again, when I look at this, thinking about just two people, I mean, because really, was I that great of a gaffer or key grip on our
I forgot all
pre-rigging day?
about that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that was cool.
I spent a bunch of time wearing all the gear, not being very helpful.
No,
Doing a lot
it
of
was good,
waving.
yeah.
Yeah, gotta shape some light over here. Gotta.
totally.
Anyway.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. So I was gonna say only two people, but in a lot of ways, probably was mainly
Well,
you.
I
during.
think that's a little bit. I know we're getting in. It's like 11:30, and we're supposed to keep this to an hour, so we should move along. But I think because of our experience of working on larger scale projects, knowing that we're sort of being forced into a smaller situation where we only have each other, it's still no excuse to just like cast aside the way things are kind of done. And for me, like as a cinematographer, especially when I'm on a smaller documentary or something like this, it's like I still think of like respecting the departments and the way things are done and the way things that need to be done in order to avoid L&D, you know, loss and damage, gear getting broken, or safety hazards, or these things on set. And so it's like, while I might be holding the camera, you're tied up and we're filming and I'm doing everything, my brain is still switching in to being like, okay, this is a bit of a camera department thing in order to do this. So like if I'm swapping a filter, it should go with the filter things and these things, you know. And it took us how long? It was like 3
It was basically
days.
4 days of shooting. I think we should jump into shooting tests, and
Sure,
then we can talk about that.
Yeah, let's get to it.
But I think ultimately the rundown takes longer than
Yes.
you expect, which is a lot of filming.
Oh man, here's a good little slide. Yeah, and I think just to sort of close out the pre-production process, the thing that really spoke. Wow, this lower third. Okay. Yeah, the thing that really spoke to us is like the creativity, the vision itself, having clarity within that. It's really like the thing that you want to key off of to try
And what's achievable with a bunch of these limitations.
Yep. Yeah. Let's see so slides, tests, all these things. Skin tone. So because we were moving in this direction of
Having the light color source changing.
Yep, constantly.
And then the Voyagers being in different spots, the main one being in the windows, and then in the lighting diagram you'll see Ben, and in some cool BTS, we had 2 Voyagers up above as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it was really important for us to do a lighting test to see, especially if you've some of my other videos, I tend to really like to play with color and the idea that, especially when you do makeup, depending on what the light is at that time, sometimes it's really bright, really striking, and sometimes it's almost like you can't even see the makeup. So I usually try to find some sort of, in one color, it's the most striking. In another color, it's almost like you can't see it. So it was really important to do these makeup tests because we would be running through technically a color pattern of it's like 7 basic colors, but probably 20 in total. So it's just like making sure that the color temperature is exactly
Yeah.
what we wanted it to be.
Yeah, it's because we were trying to create this naturalistic aesthetic, you know, implying that there's a sun rising and setting. As I had worked through my first iteration of that animation, we ended up with like heavy magenta, because if you're gonna do a sunset, you want to lean into that twilight thing, and if you're gonna do the twilight thing, you want to shove lots of delicious purpley magenta tones in there. So really quickly, and then also there's the sunrise with like heavy amber, these things, the interesting green light that comes on.
While you're saying this, do you want to play the
yes,
sequence?
sure, yeah. Let's click
You can
other
continue with
things.
Don't you have the clip
Oh,
of
the intro.
the test?
Yeah.
Of the lighting test. I mean, the makeup test.
Oh, the makeup test. Yes. Okay, I will click here, and then I will go not to there. I put it under. Hi everyone. There it is. Makeup test footage.
Yeah.
Right here. Boom.
And then I think you have
Where is
to
it?
unclick.
It's not going. BTS clip.
There you go.
Oh, okay. Here it is.
So.
Yes, and then let me.
So
do
this
for
is the
everybody.
makeup I ended up wearing in the video. But
Yep. And this is an export that we kicked out and threw online, so you can see here all the data, 3200 Kelvin. This is the hue value that whatever it said, I don't know, 103 or something. I don't know. And then it's basically what we're doing is testing how the makeup that Viktorija was thinking of using.
yeah, at that time I wasn't entirely sure.
Yeah, and then I'm just like capturing a really basic lighting setup of, see here's hue 260, saturation 87. So this is kind of moving in that turquoise sort of sea foamy.
This is one that surprised us, I think.
Yeah, we liked it. I don't know if we really used it in any of the keyframing. Here's hue 159, 100% saturation. And then we did an intensity change during this. Yeah, and this is just kind of just feeling it. I think some of these values for here's red or amber. We pulled saturation out of here. So this is kind of like letting me test something more. And yeah, we were actually live streaming during this test too, part of it anyway. So that's like, this is very meta in a way. We're like showing footage of a live stream during another live stream. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, so this is kind of more like the sunset, these things, and here's the animated playback. So this is me sending the time-lapse sunrise, daylight animation. But it's direct, the 4-foot Voyager's direct on Viktorija's face right now.
And for
so
this one, you just use one 4-foot Voyager.
Correct, yeah.
It's really easy to be able to put in the system to capture the values. You knew exactly.
Yeah. And it's
what
just,
level
it's
you're
just getting a chance to, I have my LUT also that I've kind of custom made that I really like with the red helium. Yeah, and it's just seeing what it's doing. Like, because it's all well and good to get super scientific and to pull up like the scopes, and to kind of like see. It's okay. That's the end of the clip there. Back to this stuff. It's all well and good to like look at the scopes and the parades and all that and be like, oh well, I see. There's a lot of red value here and this and that. But the aesthetic and the feeling of the image, I think, is where the priority really needs to be. And as where that connects really nicely, that I found, particularly on this shoot, working with the Voyagers, is like I sat here drinking a beer, and I got to incorporate.
Well, it was kind of like
the notes.
What about this? And then you can easily put it in, and we can see
Exactly.
it right
Yeah.
then.
Yeah.
Which is for this one really important. For our last video, was really important to be able to
Yep.
just have an idea, be able to execute it, see it, and you can see it in the program as well as if you have the Voyager there, you can automatically see it picking up on it right then and
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Yeah. So okay, and there's a
just
couple slides I
checking-
should click through. Yeah, is there a question?
Well, I'm just trying to figure out, because we have so much software here. I'm on my phone trying to see if I can check questions.
I
do
can
see
click
that
over
our
to
audio
the
did drop.
feed. Oh, that was before. That was
Yeah.
Cinematography Live. Thank you
Oh,
for letting
gosh.
us know that. Yep. But yeah, so if anyone has any questions, feel free to chime in. We'll check over on that window there because there's 800 windows. But going back to this thing, and then whoops, and then I will click Keynote and go to so I think we covered that, the useful data that came out of the lighting test. That was these values that, this, did we put, we ended up pushing, not this shade of purple, but it's, because you can see it, it's like, there are things that are really nice about what came out of this like heavy magenta hue, but I ended up shifting over just a little bit, mainly because when the LUT went on top of this particular shade of magenta to your skin tone, it looks a little not Oompa Loompa, but something else.
It's like we're already taking a lot of big artistic jumps in other ways. I don't need to look like I'm from Star Wars as well.
At least not for this video. Maybe the next one.
But it's like cool to know. And it's always informative.
And that's the thing too. It's like there's so many unique things happening. The lens is like this 40-year-old lens, something like that, 50 years. And then we also have some filtration running in front of it. Have some broken glass elements and custom filters and things I've made.
During the shoot used for
so it's like just good to sort of test all these organic elements to keep it honest, to keep it feeling very real, but then the test ahead of time lets you sort of pull those creative what's the word I'm looking for? Creative intentions. There you go.
I think making sure once again, it goes back to the discovery process.
Right.
We plan as best we can, then you test a lot of different things, and maybe you find something that you wouldn't have tested if you were just been like, we're only doing this exact thing.
Yeah.
But then you also have what you were planning for. I was 100% planning to have to redo my makeup, which normally I have to, and this time it was something that I thought this works for.
And here's some stills that we pulled. Which I should mention too, the clip that we showed. We also have the third act assembly you edited. These ones I've fully massaged inside of DaVinci, whereas the
cuts are just temp color.
Yeah, it's
just the LUT.
Just the LUT, correct? Yeah, this one's really pretty. I love this. So that's where I kind of. I think the thing that is really fun to play with, oh geez, what's that? This is a still, that's the, let me take that off there. I don't know, it's like that lower 3/4 tone region where like the shadows roll down to black, like if you can get just a little bit of fill light in there, it looks so good. Like you control it falling down into shadow, which I think it's probably a good segue thing to mention. If I jump over to the lighting diagram, here, let's see what else.
Because now we're going to jump into pre-rigging.
Yes, totally. I mentioned fill light, controlling black levels, going down to shadow. We will get to that. This slide I definitely owe, which is, so I did have to make my animated lighting adjustments. Working with After Effects, super streamlined. I should mention too, like I'm not, I've said this like 100 times during live stream. We don't work for Digital Sputnik at all. We're just freelance filmmakers doing our thing.
Lucky enough to get to use some Voyagers
here.
Yeah.
I'm really grateful to Digital Sputnik to have the opportunity to just chat about what we love doing.
Yeah.
But through this process, I found particularly being in the position of not having like a board op or crew or even a gaffer around to be like, make it do the thing. Me alone, trying to pixel map, working with After Effects, all these things. It was so easy. It's awesome how much you get to kind of sit there and.
Which is like part of like one of the reasons why it was imperative to have the Voyagers, because even we weren't expecting it, but usually I have some skills in our other videos. I can help out. But this one, at some point, once I'm rigged up, I have all of my things, and I'm beginning my art movements. I actually can't come help you, and so.
Yeah.
I guess I don't think it would have been possible with any other type of system other than Voyagers in some ways
definitely.
for the complexities that we were doing.
Yeah, like you could get into it for sure, but I think the thing that really speaks to me about what Digital Sputnik cooked up with the Voyagers, how it plugs into the After Effects stuff like super smoothly. I shot a feature film. I was a gaffer on a feature up in Washington, and we were putting, we had everything going. 4-foot Voyagers, DS units, all this and that. And it was just really nice how much you get to work quickly. You plant the fixture, you pull it up in the app, you plug in your values. If you need to do any pixel mapping, which there's a couple times we did, like, for instance, Matt, the DP, Matt Lowe, wanted to do like a TV news watching thing on the person's face and just like plant the thing and you're done. Really, really effective. So
it's something that I mean, obviously, Digital Sputnik lights are used on the biggest of shows, but it's really cool that like from the biggest of shows and then to our short film in quarantine.
Where I'm like walking around shoeless with the camera and like trying to.
I think it just shows how versatile they are. Having one gives you something.
Totally. Let's see what other slides. So getting back to I need to click this computer screen button. So the makeup tests informed hue saturation level adjustments that I wanted to plug into my pixel mapping. And let's talk about that. Let's talk about pixel mapping. So I'm going to, I need to open up After Effects. Okay, I'm clicking After Effects, which is going to make my computer really angry. I tested this before live streaming. Wait, let me do this. Pre-rigging? Pre-rigging. Okay. And when I have my live streaming software going at the same time as After Effects streaming, I have a Voyager over here. It gets choppy and it's insane. Just mainly, I think, because OBS, the streaming software.
Unfortunately, the streaming software. We don't have that problem normally. So,
but I am waiting for After Effects to open, and it's opening right now. But basically, so what I'm about to show you is in real time the process that I use to plug in the hue and saturation values that came out of the makeup and lighting test for our art film. And I'm going to do this and click that. Okay, OBS, show us After Effects.
So now we've come to
After Effects. Diagram,
we discovered this is the pre-rigging, and then the first shoot day is when we discovered a bunch of things.
Tweaks,
so which was great.
The lighting. Oh, okay. Well, let's. How do I show people things?
Take off your pixel map.
Sorry, everyone.
Oh, it's
Technical
showing.
difficulty. It is all
It's
of
showing.
it, the whole thing.
Yes.
And I zoomed out a little. There we go.
That looks all right. Yeah.
Cool. Oh yeah, but the writing up at the very
Oh,
top.
they said we lost our sound. Or is our sound back?
Yeah.
What is our?
Yep.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you,
We have
everyone.
sound
I'm
in
sorry.
We have sound in different
There
areas.
we go. Now we have sound.
Thanks
in the
for letting us
After Effects
know.
window. Thank you. We're just figuring it out here. Live streaming.
Sound is back. Great.
My brain is very tired from clicking all these things and having to explain stuff. But I'm going to keep
Which we
forging
love
ahead.
it.
Yes. Okay, so in here is my lighting diagram. Not all the camera positions are marked out. As we all know, the diagram becomes very useless once you start shooting. But before you start shooting, it's very important, or can be. So here, starting from the top left, moving over, which I will go to Keynote. Left window, we have 2 Voyagers parked in each window. And they were just in a vertical orientation. Above the window, we had 1 4-foot Voyager and then 1 off to the side. It says overhead rigging with cutting and shaping. That's a wordy way of saying, let's see, let me go over to the BTS.
See it properly.
Yeah.
You can kind of read it in there. You might want to.
Yeah, I'm trying to look to see. Man, as we were throwing everything together, I know we have.
You want to show the BTS of?
Yeah, the stills. Well, maybe actually. Here, let me jump
The
down.
stills are right after.
This shot here. There we go. Yeah, and so you could see the 2 4-foot Voyagers here. I don't own speed rails, so I had to do a really interesting thing.
I'm not sure it's up.
Oh, that's delayed. That there. Feed.
Oh, you're right.
Yep. So yeah, these 4-foot Voyagers here that you see at the top of the screen, I had to do an interesting thing with the rope, and mainly because I don't have speed rail. So and that kind of underlines a really nice feature of the Voyager in that it weighs 4 pounds. I think it's 4 pounds for the 4-foot.
You can plug it in or battery operated.
Yep, yeah, it has its own battery built in, and those things are really essential for, like, once when I finally did get it rigged up the way I wanted, you can actually see it in the image, the power cable running over to it, and that was just like, it's just a pain climbing up there and everything, so I grabbed the ladder, ran some, little power over to it, got it plugged in.
But once you have it up.
Yep. Let's see. And so, but as this relates to the diagram and as that relates to the pixel mapping process in After Effects, I knew I wanted the lights placed there because, really soft ambient light comes from, well, you can see it right now.
Yeah,
actually.
this is the natural
this is the sun
version.
coming through.
But you created a new.
Yeah, and
sun.
Clicking back over here to the keynote, let me pull up the diagram here. So we have this soft light, the 4 4-foot Voyagers in the windows, and then to help kind of wrap that soft light out of the window, over top direct, so the lights are pointed at Viktorija's position. I have the 4-foot Voyagers, and then there's just a little bit of black wrap. That's that weird tinfoil-y looking stuff underneath the light. That's to cut it off the wall. I didn't do the most perfect job of it, I'll be honest with you, but you do what you can.
Your key grip decided they got tired and then the DP had to do it?
No, I think we were employing division of labor.
Yeah.
Stuff.
You take care of everything. I'm the director. I must think and be creative.
Yeah. Oh, let's play
Why don't you play some of the BTS once we got
the springy rope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
springy rope.
well, that leads us into kind of from pre-rigging into principal photography, which is our next sequence.
Yep.
This is what's really cool about shooting, and that you just need to remember in general when you're shooting, but especially when you're doing it on your own, we thought about doing a test day, but we were like, no, we got it. It's figured out.
Yeah,
we did
let's go
test shoots.
shoot, yeah.
We figured it out. basically our first day was a complete dress rehearsal day. Realized that the wardrobe wasn't standing out in the way that I thought it was. Realized that the biggest thing we realized is once I was all rigged up, which looked really rad, it was that I absolutely could not move, which was not the like the idea.
Yeah, it made it really difficult.
It was super hard, and so then Ben had to come up with an idea. In addition to that, some of the other things to solve that from
the
our
springy
day one.
rope thing, which I realized I sidetracked us there. Before we do the springy rope, I should wrap up what I was talking about with the pixel mapping.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I think that in general with the pixel mapping kind of shows like allowing us to change on the fly. Yeah.
Definitely on the fly, but also going back to what I was saying with these lights here rigged in the ceiling, I wanted those to have different color values that were getting mapped to them, but I only wanted to pull in or send one video feed or one instance of After Effects to all the Voyagers. So that's where this upper bar here that I will toggle, boop, boop, right here. So those that's where I placed in the app where the Voyagers that were inside the room. I mean, they were all inside the room, but the ones that were going direct.
The Voyager app?
Yeah.
But yeah, so what you had is so that it's mapping, it's keeping in time with the rest of the window Voyagers, so you're not messing up that, but you're not having it have weird colors because they're horizontal, whereas the other Voyagers were vertical.
So I just clicked a thing to show the Voyager app. These lights are illuminating us, so I'm just gonna do that and reset them. So I went ahead and selected this. These are the two Voyagers that I have going right now. If I want these to take the live feed from After Effects, what you do is you select them like this. And for clarity as well, this is Voyager, the app running from my laptop, which you do need to do if you want to stream pixel mapping out of After Effects directly to the fixtures. So anyway, boom. So I'll select them, set effects, and then you go to Siphon Stream. This is a free like open source plugin. And the Siphon Stream plugin works differently than other plugins. I'll just hit OK. After Effects plugins in that it just takes whatever your like canvas or composition window is. So see how it says composition long? Here, like turn off the app. Composition long version, like it's the Siphon Stream plugin is just taking that. Whatever's on there is going to get pushed out to the Voyager app, which is then going to get pushed out to the old fixtures there. And then so this is the part where I tell you that OBS, the streaming software for the live stream, does not like After Effects streaming to the Voyagers at the same time.
Which is just OBS.
It's just
live streaming.
It's whatever thing.
So.
But anyway, so here's where I could plug in those values. So if I double click this thing here, this is where I could punch in the hue saturation adjustments. So you can see how during the sunrise I was using an ambient background magenta-ish value of 246, saturation 66, etc. And that's really where you can plug in make all the adjustments with the makeup test that we did to try and push it into a place that felt right, that conformed to the data that we got from the makeup test, and then kind of got things just a little tighter and color-wise, the color values, and just felt more coherent, and
making sure like just in general like the white balance behind the color, which I have a tendency to it drastically makes differences on my skin tone. So it was important to confirm that. But it's really cool that then in general you get that information, then you got to your lighting diagram, which then the lighting diagram went directly into what you just saw here by basically the Voyager app allowing you to put everything into one, I'm not a DP, but the overlay, so that like all of it's going all at once to all the
Yeah.
Voyagers. You can do them separately, or you can do it like all at once, and it's just easier it's where every step informs one another. So
Yeah.
it becomes really easy, depending on how complex you want it to look. And I think we can jump.
Cool. Thanks, Mark.
Oh yeah.
I'm not sure
thanks,
how long
Mark.
ago you sent that, but I just clicked over to see this.
I think that, do you want to show, we can talk about principal photography.
Yeah.
And
Should
then
we?
jump
I
into
feel like before we move on, is there anyone
who's been
have
on
any
for an hour?
questions? Yeah, I know. Yeah, I saw we're going. Gosh, this. I mean, we'll keep going for sure. But yeah, any questions about sort of this process? I know it sounds very technical, all this stuff. I actually, the pixel mapping we did on the feature film that I worked on called Saturn. It's a pretty cool production. The pixel mapping we did was really just on the fly, dropping it in. Me as the gaffer, I was a little bit like, yeah, I don't know if I want to do it. But then, you know, in this collaboration with, or opportunity with Digital Sputnik came up for Viktorija and I to do another episode of our art film series with Digital Sputnik. It was kind of like, all right, let's see what this pixel mapping thing is all about. And that was for episode 2, the previous one. Yeah, it's really easy. I mean, I would say the most difficult thing about pixel mapping is actually working with After Effects, because it's just its own software package that has all these crazy, you know. I mean, granted, the keyframing and animation that you're doing inside After Effects, it's really simple. It's like not crazy rotoscoping or anything. Of course, you can do that if you want, but as a cinematographer trying to create a certain aesthetic, whether it's, you know, in our episode 2 of A Study in Discovery, which I guess I should pull up a couple frames here of that, you know, like episode 2 was a lot louder. We weren't going for something that felt natural. Mm-hmm. Here, let me go ahead and I'll just delete that. So like, here's a still frame from it. Yeah, and it's just a wall of Voyagers. I think we ended up with like 28 or 26 or something. And here's another. Let me delete this off. You know, and it's just we had a DS1 in the corner.
That was the
edge light, top left corner, and then just the wall of Voyagers. And so, with the exception of the DS1, all of those 4-foot Voyagers, all 28 of them, I want to say it's 28, we're doing it. We're taking the stream from After Effects, and that was.
I think that someone, like, if you guys are cinematographers out there, you guys get this. This is like really straightforward, streamlined stuff. Yeah. I would say, as someone who has been on a lot of film sets, but if I was going to do something on my own, it's very clear. You know, it's like, here's a button. Make sure you're on the right Wi-Fi network. Even if I personally, if I was going to do it on my own, maybe I wouldn't work in After Effects because I'm just doing something simple on my own. But you already have an array of a lot of cool, complex things you can work with. Yeah. Even if you're inside your own home making your own YouTube video, like, you can make something. I think what's really cool here about the production value, it just feels elevated. You know, we had 7 Voyagers, you know, so it's really cool that I really would say that the skill levels, it's very simple, expands to basically what you want. You know?
Yeah, I think, and you know, Kerr at Digital Sputnik, I think that's something that I sense from their team. Like, they value creative freedom. Like, that's not like hyperbole or whatever. Like, it's something that you really feel from like their staff, where they're like,
no,
that's
like, really important to them.
Yeah, we want to remove as many barriers to entry as there are to allowing you to just be artistic, and more than I anticipated. That was the experience that I had, like, while we were doing this in quarantine. it felt really powerful, like as a DP, to be able to create a lighting animation that was naturalistic, fast and flexible, and then also reliable. I think it showed me how much this like newer, fresh hot off the presses technologies. How much it's reliable and
allows you
limited only by my ability to like
think creatively.
Yeah,
actually.
like go for it, you know. So
which is like the entire point, and I would say that that's the cool thing. If you're making your own YouTube video at home, it's really like how creative you can get instead of being.
Yeah, I think a lot of DJs, a lot of everything. It kind of spans the spectrum, you know.
Well, because it's not just in what the light can do; it's that the way it's functionally set up, the weight of it, the diffusion or without the diffusion. You know, like I'm just saying, I'm 5'2". If I'm a 5'2" girl, I could probably easily rig this up high to do whatever I wanted if I wanted to do my own little.
Yeah. Should I get a ladder now? Let's do it.
No, I will be fine.
Oh, come on, we could.
I will do it on my own. Wait, you guys wait and see. I'm a DP now.
Yeah.
But you know, it really
and
makes
also,
you feel that way.
we don't want this to turn into like an infomercial for Digital Sputnik. Like we're just here talking about our experience. But
but I
there's
think
a lot.
it's important to know.
The capabilities. That, you know.
That it's really cool to get to execute our art, which is like the focus for me.
Yeah.
That there are other tech creators out there who want to support that and not it just to be about the tech.
Yeah.
And I think that's cool.
Yeah, it's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
You know, but you kind of I feel like from a creative perspective, there's a lot of kindred spirits over there as well, like at DS. That, you know. Anyway, so let's get back to our video here, and you know, we can stop gushing about how much we love working with awesome kit. Okay, so
well,
I
now
need to
we
click
can stop
this
because
button.
we went into production. Then,
yes. What slides? My brain is so fried. Okay, so we were talking about pre-rigging.
Now we can go down.
Yeah, let's actually shift over and quickly touch on the springy rope thingy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is that the pre-rigging kind of continued after the first day of production.
Okay, wait, let me close this program because it makes OBS really unhappy. Okay, we'll keep that going and clicking over to Keynote. Alright, so BTS videos. Let's look at, let's tee up the springy rope thing. So, you were tied up like this. Hold on, computer screen scene. Boom, that's you tied up.
Having to watch the monitor because you had to bring it over to me.
Yep.
Because I couldn't move.
Which I can actually zoom this back in. Hit slide. Whoosh, there. Yeah. So you were on, and this photo is actually from the second or third day of our shooting. But we found that it turns out when your director/talent is tied to, I didn't count. It was like 14 different points on the wall. You actually can't move.
And
like
then I would be like, are we on a 50?
Yeah.
What is the frame? Describe it.
So that's Viktorija looking at the monitor, which I could only bring over because it's wirelessly powered, wireless signal being received, right? So it's like, it's just really, after that first day of shooting, we were like,
we got to solve some problems.
This is hard.
You can show the video of how we solved to allow me to have tension in the twine and ropes. So we still got the aesthetic and the concept that we were looking for, but wasn't that I literally could not move. Allowed me to have some movement.
Yeah.
So we solved it by you basically
Bongo
making them
guys. Let's just cut to
stretchier.
it. I feel like we're teeing this up so much. We're like, oh my god, we solved something. Okay, which button do I push? Here it is, springy rope clip. Yep, coming at you. Boom. One of the things that made it more better
The audio?
was this. This is rope that's tied to Victoria's foot currently, and if I pull it,
it's stretchy. So it is stretchy rope that also can tear away. If I pull it really hard, it will actually tear away from the wall, which Viktorija is going to do during the scene. She's going to pull it very hard. And you need some help. She's tying herself. I'm gonna help her.
Yep, there it is. Springy rope play. Let's play a couple other BTS things. What do you think? Let's do.
Well, yeah, I think then you can see what is our audio on now.
It is.
Okay.
Yes.
Making sure.
I know. It's a lot of.
Well, then you can see how we solved that, and then now we can go into once we were actually shooting our full days, how I had to rig myself.
Oh
up
yes,
and,
here's some more BTS shot from my cellular device here. Here's Viktorija in deer form, or what kind of creature do you think you are, actually?
I'm like an ethereal fawn.
Ethereal fawn. Okay.
That's an important note.
Yeah. Here's Viktorija in ethereal fawn form, tying her foot, which is I guess it's the second foot, so it's the second step in about 100 steps of rope tying that we have to do.
All very specific.
Yep.
And we're shooting this in our apartment. We have cleared out the TV normally goes there, and the couch normally goes here. So that means that the watching TV on couch activity has
Been away for now, what, 4 days?
I think it's been 4 days, yeah.
Since we started rigging 4
Yep.
days ago?
About 4 days ago. Yeah. So it's been a journey. It's been arduous. And I like doing this. It is fun. It's something awesome to do in quarantine. But I do miss sitting down in front of the TV, turning my brain off. We've been eating dinner in bed. And I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos lately because it's what my leisure time consists of without a TV and a couch. Yeah. What do you think of that? Ethereal fawn?
Yeah. I don't
If this is
suggest it for
boring,
longer than
we
the
can
amount of
end
time
this
we
clip
have done it for,
if anyone wants to
but,
chime in.
it's worth it for the art.
Yeah, it's
Whoa,
worth it for
watch
the
out
Sorry,
for the-
man, those
oh,
horns
good.
are there on me. Okay.
Good. I'm gonna do last looks.
You did your own makeup?
Oh yeah, own hair, own makeup, own wardrobe.
Who are you wearing?
Reformation.
Oh my gosh.
Sustainably sourced. It's very
Is it
helpful.
post-COVID-19 sustainably sourced? I don't know.
What is that?
It means
It's
just
good to see. Let's see last looks. Should be more like this. I'm trying to match exactly to yesterday as well.
Yep, we are in our second day of filming, which is technically our third day of filming because the first day,
Which now we're calling it a full, dress rehearsal.
yeah,
but
like pre-light, wardrobe, everything test.
which
It was tough. It was
we
really tough.
realized about a whole bunch of things that I'm really glad we did it because now we
Yeah, it
made
was rough.
Made it
Okay.
better.
Wow.
Much
Yeah,
better, more better.
We had already obviously
better.
Yeah. Okay.
watched
We're
these,
just gonna click out of
but
that.
we are
That's a
just
lot
going
of-
on and on. Yeah.
Just enjoying it.
You kind of can see
Our
things.
apartment got torn apart.
Yeah, things that we didn't anticipate in the pre-production
right,
was
okay.
how much, in general, I thought we would be getting this shot in 2 days. We ended up shooting it in 4. Just went slower due to mainly art. I think.
Yeah, it's just hard.
I
Like working without a crew. Sorry, I just want to check on the feed. Okay. Yeah, working without a crew to. I don't know. I mean, leading up to when we started pre-rigging, it was, I think we had 5 days on the clock already of just like thinking about, and this is like one scene, one setup.
I know.
Basically.
It's only that's
Yeah.
that's why I thought, oh man, we really got this.
Yeah.
It's kind of like thank goodness I really feel like we took up the biggest, or took the biggest bite we could, and
Yeah,
I didn't know how big of a bite we were taking until,
You got
it
tied
took
up.
me 30 minutes each time, and then we shot it basically in sequence just because there were so many points and there were so many story beats.
Our shot list had 30.
32 shots on it that had including like other parts within them, but it was really important to move in sequence, and so I was always having to remember based on it, like if I had to get out of all the ties, I'd have to get back in the same way. That was pretty difficult. So
and there's little things that you just don't think about when you're spending your mental energy on like keeping it safe. How does it look? Is it checking all the boxes? It's just so many things to think about. That,
like moving the couch out of the way
Yeah.
and the TV out of the way.
and also when you're tied up, how like if you had to like go 10-1, go to the bathroom, like it would be.
It was like I
Not a
would
thing.
rather
Like,
not.
yeah. So we had to kind of like go for 6 hours or 5 or something, and then like break and chill, and then be like, oh my gosh, do we want to go again? But because I know one of the things that several people chatted with me about is like, man, like how, like are you pitching how you can shoot a short film with just the two of you guys? And like, no.
I think
It's kind of more of just like we are seeking creative fulfillment in a way, and that's really what this is about. Is sort of like as part of our creative our art film series is just how much can we kind of push it, and the Voyagers let us kind of explore new territory in a way that was like a pretty rich and deep visual language. And then we wanted to, I think we even talked about this, how we wanted to meet that with art that also was like nuanced and interesting.
Yeah.
So the rope, and then all of a sudden it's like, we have rope like going across the set, and there's fixtures in the air, and it can get really unsafe. And like, so I'm being we're both being hyper vigilant and like moving slow, being careful how the ladder's getting placed because you don't want to knock something over. And just, it's hard. It's really hard. Like,
And
it was
kind of funny but it was kind of cool because the Voyagers in the windows, it looks so realistic.
It did.
A
It
couple
looked super-
times we were
yeah.
shooting, we were
I'll
shooting till
play
like
some
10 or
footage
11,
while you're,
and honestly, it could have been 4 p.m.
Yeah.
Because we had been in like a sequence where it was just our daylight in the Voyagers, and it's really, really cool, but also we had to be like also vigilant at the time because the Voyagers were so realistic. We was just like we were living days all day long.
It was pretty rough.
Which is just like that's just a funny concept.
Yeah, I mean,
byproduct.
Yeah, what we're talking about too is like the lighting animation was so realistic that it would just kind of fool your subconscious, and so we'd spend not just the shooting time, but like pre-rigging or tying you up before we'd start shooting for the day and all these things. It'd be like at least 10, maybe 12 hours with this animation going. And like, man, like by the end of the 4th or 5th day, like,
We were like, oh my
it's like,
gosh, this is
awful. Like,
so many,
yeah,
it's so wild.
It messes with your brain in that you're just like inside all day, like watching this animation play, or not watching an animation play. You're seeing the sun rise and set.
We would like forget that the Voyagers were in the windows.
It was pretty. That was one thing that was really unexpected in that. But anyway, we're just sitting here like gushing about how terrible it was. But I think the point that we're really trying to express here is that like, we're not pitching this as like, oh, well, we don't need film crews anymore. Like that's not what we're saying. It's more like, hey, this is tons of capability within this one thing. We were in a unique situation to explore how far could we sort of push the envelope with these capabilities. And then what we always sort of reflect on is how much easier it is when you have a crew to help keep you safe, to help keep you efficient, to collaborate with additionally, like all these things. And so, I think that was, definitely something that came out of it.
I mean, I think it also speaks for itself. Like, it was that complex, and you guys see from the first opening act, It's
Yeah.
really great. We're really proud of it. It looks awesome, but you know, that's what you can work to get if by working on being really creative when it's just a very small crew. If we actually had a real film crew, we were
A focus puller.
all of that, then that's when you can actually execute really cool big
Right,
things.
yeah.
But you know, I would say if you guys are working at home, what I really like to do is just, you know, accept the limitations that you have.
Yeah, it's important to.
Have something that kind of gives you that up in production value. For us, that was the Voyagers, you know, and then once we can get back in, but use that to get out your creative ideas,
Yeah.
whether it's making mistakes or making changes on the fly.
Yeah.
And then you can use them when you're, you know, DPing the Mandalorian or whatever.
Just knock on wood. Well, I think too, like that as an artist, well, particularly as a cinematographer or filmmaker in general, accepting your limitations and not being hindered by them, but actually trying to see the opportunity within them. That's the thing that it's like that's the whole purpose of what it is to master your craft as a cinematographer, to carry your passion for wanting to become more of an expansive visionary in the face of hardship or limitations or all these things. And so I think that for me, there was a couple moments along the way of working on this third episode that we shot in quarantine of like feeling very attached and empowered by creating art at a level that I wanted to be creating film at, and also getting to use new technology and experimenting, you know, with my creative partner that in a way that is all really fulfilling. And I think that like that's the point of it all, is to accept your limitations and you know, like reach for it, I guess, persist, persevere, all these things. And I think too, like that mindset is also why I feel really comfortable like jumping on the internet and saying like, yeah, like Digital Sputnik Voyagers are awesome, because it really meets you where you want your creativity to just kind of be unhindered by like, oh, well, you gotta, you know, follow this weird protocol, and it's like, nah, plug it in, turn it on, open up After Effects or whatever pixel mapping host.
Your director's being difficult. Okay, change the color. Fine.
Yeah, but you did have color notes, and it was really easy to kind of plug those in. So, I feel like I just talked a ton there. So I think we are getting pretty close to the end of our thing. So if anyone has questions, I see it shows 9 people. But if there's any Q&A or anything, happy to answer your questions. And you can
check out
our other video.
Well, I have the third act, which we can show.
Oh, sure.
And then we can
and
kind of
we'll do
segue out through this Q&A. Just so you guys know, once again, it's rough cut temp, but you know, that's going to be out really soon on acetiaindiscovery.com.
Let's do this, because we do owe post-production as well. We should just touch on that. Mostly probably talking about color grading.
You can talk about some of the things.
What lays in the future, for this. But should we play the third act clip now? And then we'll jump into post-production? How's that sound?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to click buttons. I'm clicking this button, and then
we're going to go to third act.
This button.
The ties that bind are only in our mind. This elegant machine. It's just waiting. just waiting for a more elegant connection. And here, and here, and here, alone, without touching anyone. We each spend the days learning to retie, I guess. Maybe finding a new pattern. Can you feel it? Take hold of all the ties that bind. Take hold of all the ties that bind. Weave slowly. Weave slowly.
Cool. That was cool. It's so great.
Yeah. It's like, there's a lot of things still got to be worked out, you know,
It's a
working with the
process.
voiceover, with our music, and
Yeah. Well, that
trying to
voiceover,
make it feel
we're
authentic.
We're still, sorry, I keep talking over you. But the script, like, because I wrote the poem, but you were like, nah, I got notes on it and stuff, and it's like, yeah, okay, yeah, but in order to get something out for for this live stream, we're like, well, let's just.
Well, I have that, and
Yeah.
then I made some of my notes. You can kind of tell I did a tiny bit of post-sound design, where I added in
Layered,
different
yeah.
layers.
So cool.
Oh,
so
thanks.
cool.
But you know, the point is on this is trying to keep it super authentic, not trying to
Yeah.
pull the audience. You guys just feel like you're seeing it, and you might connect to what I'm saying. So I think that's where I'm moving to go. I think it's got a really good start, and I'm really happy with how
it's coming
that's.
together.
I would say, as an editor, when I have this footage, it's all I could want in terms of like what we discussed before. Now it's just my job to solve the other problems that come with creating and building the story after it's all shot.
Yeah, which I think it's worth mentioning too. Something we did during principal photography was we had 3 different versions of the After Effects animation of the sunrise into sunset. I guess I'll cut to this shot.
One of the things that made it more better is
Yeah,
Viktorija.
not that one. Sorry. Hi, everyone. Sorry. This here, playing back on the laptop, which is then streaming out to the Voyagers in the windows. This is BTS footage, obviously. We had 3 different versions of this animation. One was 36 seconds. Another
In totality, meaning from sunrise, sunset,
Yep.
through the night.
Yeah.
Then the next one was 15 seconds. And then the last one, which we only ran a couple times, but we had it as an option, was
Yeah.
a 9-second version.
Yeah, which I think in the keynote I have a still frame. Yep, right here. It's from the makeup test section. But when we cut to like this angle, I knew when we flipped the world and came around onto a close-up, I wanted to make some adjustments in the lighting. And then because we're not looking at the windows, you can get away with a lot more. And so we went for the 9 seconds. I don't know. We went for one of the faster animations.
Oh
we
yeah,
flipped the
so
world.
I could have all the options, and
Yeah.
we
But
feel like
as far as my creative intention in this setup though, flipping from like looking in this direction, and I knew when I flipped around, because now we're looking towards our kitchen basically. I wanted the light to be more active and just
right,
to
I
have
see what you're
more.
saying,
Yeah. Because we don't see the source now. It's off screen.
well. So then you did move a Voyager right back.
I did, yeah. Which let's actually touch on that lighting diagram one more time. So there's our lighting diagram here, and then
and that's where you moved that one.
yeah, at the back wall here, around the camera's first position, where it says Cam A, you can see that there's one 4-foot Voyager that we put up on a 3-riser stand, and it was just getting pushed into a white wall, so. That allowed us, gosh, there's so many things to focus on. Keynote, okay. When I show, let's go to, here's a good one. so when we're looking at the wide shot, there's just a little bit of fill light that's coming from behind camera, which that was something I mentioned way earlier in this live stream, was controlling how our image, how it rolls down into the shadow area. I've really fallen in love with just being able to control that roll down to shadow, and oftentimes it's some form of fill light, working off your key. The quality of the shadow or the position of your fill light definitely is going to have a lot of, it's going to affect the aesthetic a lot. But anyway, so for this, I actually kind of had a couple things going on. That one was a camera mounted light that at the camera's position, you can just do a proximity of fill light, as you're close to something. But it's, I knew going into this setup, I did really want to, have at my disposal this fill light here behind the first camera position. And so what Viktorija was talking about for this frame, that fill light ended up being in the position when I flipped the world to actually act as an edge light for you. So, and it was really easy just to jump into the Voyager app and I turned off the camera left, or I guess stage right window, all the way, and just turned it down, and then I turned I'm pointing so they can see. The
face of the diagram, it was that way.
Yeah, basically, yeah. So I took out some of the window light because it was then in a fill position, off on the right-hand side. If I click to this, which kind of you can kind of see it on your left cheek there. You can see that it rolled down to shadow, and that's only happening because the window that was directly behind camera position was turned off, and then the backlight, which on the previous setup was the fill light. Basically, we flipped the world and flipped our key.
And it still matches, obviously, continuity-wise, so it looks...
It's I would love to just be able to explain this in person and be like, wow, here it all is.
Yeah.
Get it. But yeah, and if there's any questions, Q&A stuff, happy to answer them for you guys. And of course, if you want to reach out to us, you can catch us on the Instagram.
Yep.
This is our Instagram.
You can check it out.
Handles.
The video will be up on
YouTube.
it's it's a small site, but it's studyinddiscovery.com. That's where we put up our videos if you want to check out our past 2 episodes.
Yep.
Study in Discovery.
Here, let's do this
one word.
Boom. Yep.
And
there it is.
Yep, that is, but it's one word, obviously.
Yep.
So you can check that out there. This will be up soon.
Yeah.
And then
we also have a couple things that we'll be live streaming, or maybe not live stream, but an unboxing video for a Voyager. I have to finish up. And and then we'll be making more of these.
And I was going to say, I've been working on some concepts for our next one. The original idea was to try to do one of these per month, and now we're all over here. I'm doing post-production for a month, it feels like. So that's how it goes. So
filmmaking in quarantine.
Maybe inspire some of you guys to do some of your own art. I know you guys all are. So thanks for hanging out with us for the last little bit.
Yeah, this is long. I know we went over an hour. I was planning, but we just were going.
It's really cool.
Oh, we didn't talk about post-production. Let's just touch on that for 5 minutes, and then we'll wrap up. Okay.
Yeah.
Did we? I didn't talk about color.
The color, yes.
Yeah. Here, I'll click.
Well, and also in general, your special cooked up LUT.
Yes.
Which then also when we were shooting, when we had the monitor set up, you can flip the LUT on the footage so we could see it there.
Let me do. How about this one? Okay. Yeah, so this is going back to the makeup test here. It's kind of it's almost like having your own film stock. And so the LUT, you're shooting these tests to understand how the LUT is affecting these color values coming off the light source onto the unique skin tone of the talent, which is Viktorija. And so you're sort of capturing that data. How that applies to post-production is basically you do these tests up front so that way you understand with clarity when you do get into post especially if you've tested with the LUT you plan to shoot with on the day of, then there's not really going to be any surprises. And in fact, I've found through working on a lot of documentaries, but also some commercial projects as well, if I can get the LUT dialed in before we shoot, and then I have that LUT with me on set that the director's looking at, then when they hit post, so long as I can get that LUT in a colorist's hands or burned onto the dailies or whatever, there's no surprises to me as the DP or to whomever is overseeing the editorial post-production process.
So it's oftentimes that's really important. I guess if you were talking to people who haven't been part of the production process but are there to start seeing the final product.
Yeah.
And if they're seeing something that to them looks, oh my gosh, why is it so bright and overexposed? It's like, nope, we just fling the LUT on it.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like. We had to do it this way because we knew what LUT we were going to be using, and that's why, to make sure all the values are properly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this LUT is one that I've developed that does pull down the luminance values just a little bit, which helps keep me honest when I'm lighting to get a real proper exposure as well. So it's kind of nice, you know. Sometimes you gotta switch to a different LUT, but then just to kind of wrap up the post section, because I know we're trying to end
It
this
was really
thing.
nice. Some people said thanks for sharing. Thanks.
Oh yeah,
people."
totally, yeah. When you're in editing, you know, you're working just with the straight log footage,
Yeah.
and there's really, like, of course I would love to be able to color grade what we showed today, and of course I will color grade the final video, but during her editorial process while working through all these revisions, all she has to do is just throw the LUT that I've supplied on, and then there's the approximated, yes, I approved shooting this on set look, which is pretty great.
Yeah,
So,
and we did make those changes even on set.
based
where
on the LUT.
the LUT,
Yeah.
where we had the green, where to our eye, the green on the Voyagers, we were like,
Oh,
wow,
yeah,
this
that's
looks
right.
super rad.
Yeah.
But then you flipped on the LUT, and I was like, man, it's not reading as
Yeah.
weird green as I was hoping.
And that was a change. Oh man, was that?
We made that on the
after-
second day.
I can't remember, but what I found is this was after the first day of shooting, yeah, not the test day. Who cares? Anyway, through the process of shooting, I found that the green value coming out of the windows. Here, let's jump to this one. Whoosh. This green value coming out of the windows, it just wasn't. I don't know if it was something with the red helium sensor or maybe
Behind the curtains and
Yeah,
the way
you
the
just-
values were rolling.
who knows.
Yeah.
But either way, Victoria and I both were pretty unsatisfied with how much the green was, what it felt like when we were working with it.
To be honest, in person, it looked really good.
Yeah.
It was once you really saw it on camera, which I know everyone knows this, but it can be hard sometimes when don't have a crew, you don't have really the ability to follow it, and you're kind of using your eye. So it's really cool to have the ability to, one, have lights that are functional, that you can change the color very easily,
Yeah.
even after they're rigged, and that you have the LUT that you can easily put on whatever it is, if you
Yeah.
downloaded the footage, if it was on your monitor.
Yeah, so that was something that came out of reviewing dailies with the LUT applied outside of the shooting environment. Because that's the other thing we should touch on is, like, part of the surprise for us, Victoria, was we're viewing this image that I have pulled up, like, on the monitor, and it might be I have like that 17-inch, it's a big size monitor, but we're seeing that image inside the room that's getting blasted with green light, so the monitor's also getting lit with green light, which
we're
is
like,
making
yeah.
it seem, and so it's really helpful to actually get outside of that environment, which, you know, could be just a separate room where we had the monitor or whatever, but for us was the next morning before we started shooting. we were looking at this footage, and then we both were like, we need a couple.
We need to push that green a little bit more.
Yeah.
Which even then, once we pushed it in real life, we were like, what?
Oh yeah,
It looks a little wild.
Then I think I went through and shot another test and pulled it back. I turned off the lights, pulled it onto the computer, and it was funny because we went to 100% green value, which for these RGBW units, especially the Voyagers, it's like, man,
super saturated.
They can saturate, but it didn't chroma clip. It looked goofy in person. Like you wouldn't ever.
In person, we were like, this
is ridiculous. But it worked for the LUT. It worked for the color grade. So and that was something that took me 2 minutes, I think.
Yeah, I think nominal
not
amount
even
of time.
that, yeah.
Once again, it's
just to
like
jump in there and tweak it. So
if you don't have a crew, it's cool to control what you can.
yeah. As far as just having the ability to jump inside After Effects and touch a couple buttons. Well, cool. All right. Well, I guess we'll do it. We'll jump out of here. Did we play the third act?
We did.
Yet? We did.
Yeah,
Okay.
right,
All right.
yes.
We've covered a lot of things. My brain is very tired.
Yeah, well, it's awesome to be with you guys. And,
Yes. Come find us on Instagram. Follow Digital Sputnik with all their fun live things. And
show us what you guys are making
yeah,
at home.
that is cool. Some of that stuff is awesome. We need to shoot more colors.
I know.
Yeah.
I always follow Digital Sputnik always is sharing stories, and I'm like, what are they?
It's
what
like
are they doing there?
the turquoise magenta combo. Like that's the delicious one that I'm all digging on now. So
Yeah.
anyway, cool. Closing thoughts, words, thoughts, feelings. Do I have any slides that I didn't do yet?
Yeah. No, I think. Yeah.
We covered that.
It was fun to be here.
We talked about this. Okay.
We
well,
got
That's it.
I think. Yeah, it's always interesting.
all our
We
stuff.
think we got a lot of stuff figured out with all the software, and we'll let you guys go.
Okay.
Yeah. Bye, everyone.
Oh man, we lost sound for a second. Oh, okay. All right, thank you everybody for watching. We appreciate it. Feel free to hit us up.
We
and
will
follow
figure that
us and
out.
do all the things. We think
Yeah.
you're fantastic.
Yeah. Thanks again, everyone.
Cool. Cheers.
Bye.